a kick, a regather, a try for the Melbourne Genius.
Pappenhausen accelerates onto the ball, shows it as if he's going to kick it, and then just slices through.
Now Slater again. Oh, Slater has carved into them.
He's not just a big body, he's quick, he can move, he's evasive.
Back inside for Slater. Billy Slater will score.
Hello and welcome to Billy's Breakdown, brought to you by Inflamax. Billy, as always, plenty happening this weekend. The big news of the weekend, Nathan Cleary gone for 5 weeks after that dangerous tackle. Do you think that's a fair punishment, 5 weeks?
Well, it is if you look at the consistency over that sort of tackle this year especially. Does he deserve 5 weeks? Well, I see it as a 6-week punishment because he only played 17 minutes of that game, so he was sent from the field. So effectively, he's missing 6 games. Do we need to be wiping our best players out of the competition for a quarter of the season from one mistake that they make? I'm not too sure about that, but it's got to be a fair match review panel, and with what we've seen this year, I think the punishment or the crime fits the punishment, or the punishment fits the crime.
Yeah,
I'll
so
get there.
Now they've got Luai and Cleary missing until the finals.
Yes.
Obviously, they're 8 points clear at this stage, but how do they cope without those two?
Well, I look at the glass half full in this regard. I actually think it can be a positive for them. They sit pretty on the table. They're 4 wins clear. Obviously, the Cowboys to play this weekend, but they're 4 wins clear of anyone else. So they're going to be in the top 2, no matter what. So, and the other thing that they're guaranteed of is their best 2 players and their 2 key position players are going to be there week 1 of the finals. There's no risk of them being injured. Well, little risk of them being injured. So I think they're in a really good position. I think they're a professional organisation that will be able to handle this situation. And it's not all doom and gloom for the Panthers.
Well, similar situation for the Eels, missing their halfback Mitch Moses with a fractured finger. Jacob Arthur, we imagine, will get a shot. Similar situation in that we know Mitch then at least will be fresh for the finals, and if anything happens, Jacob gets more game time.
Well, I think it helps Jacob because I think he plays his best football when he starts in the halves and he controls things. They're in a little bit of a different situation. I think they need to be playing really good all the way up until the finals and build that momentum because they've been really inconsistent this year. They are going to get Mitchell Moses back for that final series, but they need to be playing good at the right time of the year.
They've beaten the Panthers twice now this season, and Brad Arthur, you'd imagine, will be so frustrated because they're so inconsistent. They'll drop games to the teams at the bottom of the ladder. But the fact that they can beat a side like Penrith, does that give him hope for the final series that on their day they can do it? Yeah,
certainly. And let's not forget that Penrith were without Nathan Cleary and down to 12 men for 3/4 of that game. But for the first 17 minutes, I thought Parramatta were on top. I really felt like they had a really good first half. And I know they'd be really disappointed about losing the second half, but I think you've got to look at the positives and what you are bringing to the game and try and outlay that more often. Sometimes we focus on the negatives and what we didn't do in the game too much, and just focus on what you did well and see if you can build that consistency and doing that more.
Well, we had an incredible game with the Bunnies and Cronulla going to Golden Point, and Nico Hines, cool as a cucumber. It's the second time he's done that for the Sharks and getting a field goal.
Well, we always talk about Adam Reynolds as the buy of the year. I think Nico Hines is just as important to the Sharks as Adam Reynolds has been to the Broncos, and he's been outstanding. It's the second time, as you mentioned, that's the second time he's won the game off his boot. So he's doing some great things down there, Nico.
Latrell had 3 shots and was filthy with himself. For a player of his calibre, what would be going through his head? Because there'd be a sense, you could see the emotion on his face after the game.
Well, he would be really confident in kicking those goals, and he does it more times than not. He's that sort of player, and I just think he was a little bit out of the game, to be honest. He only had 6 runs in that game on the weekend, and when you're a little bit down on confidence, and it's not a confidence thing for Latrell. We've seen how good he's been playing, but he just wasn't feeling it that night, and that was reflected in his field goal attempts. So I don't think it's anything too much to worry about, but I'd just be encouraging Latrell to be involved in the game a bit more, be smiling. He plays well when he's happy.
We saw at times Nico Hines shifted to fullback and Latrell was in the centres. What did you make of that move?
Well, that was when Jed Cartwright went down. He went a hamstring injury, he came off the field. So I think that was more a defensive move to make sure that defensively they're sound out there. We know how good Latrell is defensively in the centres. But that probably stifled him to get involved a little bit as well. So you need your best players with the football in their hands, and Latrell is, one of, if not the best player in the South Sydney Rabbitohs. So, I'm sure they would have liked him to get the footy a little bit more. Yeah, absolutely. Plenty to play out in the final 5 weeks of the season. Of course, we've got you covered right here on your home of Rugby League, Nine's Wide World of Sports.